Now this is the second part on the lecture of radar. So in this lecture we will be discussing about the frequency range of radar application, and we will be discussing about the two types of radar, that is pulse radar and the continuous wave radar. So you can understand about the radar frequencies here. Usually radar frequencies, they are coming in the microwave frequency ranges. So initially letter codes such as S, L, X, long band, short band, cross band, etc. It was employed for maintaining a secrecy. So it was initially started for military applications. So such letters was used to designate radar frequency bands. So that purpose was for guarding of military secrecy. Okay, but these what is shown here is a table. It is actually being approved by IEEE standards and international telecommunication units. So these are the band designations, and this is a nominal frequency range, and these are the specific radar bands. Okay, so you can go through this and understand the frequency ranges in which the radar is being employed. Now this is a block diagram of a conventional pulse radar, and the receiver employed here is a super heterodyne receiver. Now usually rectangular pulses we consider here for the transmission of the signals. Now the transmitter which is employed here, we have already studied about several form of microwave transmitter, klystron, traveling wave tube. Usually we employ high transmitting train pulses to be transmitted, say, by magnetron. Magnetron is a commonly used transmitter in case of radar applications. So we will be able to send a train of repetitive pulses, high pulses, by using with the help of a magnetron. And then we employ here a duplexer, that is a single antenna is used for both transmitter and the receiver on a time sharing basis. The duplexer, it has to isolate the receiver from a high power transmitter. So it has got isolation function. And in case of a microwave, we could employ, say, solid state ferrite circulators or solid state diodes. That is, we have already studied about the tunnel diode used with the circulator. So all those devices you can employ here in the duplexer part. And in the receiver we are having the components of a super heterodyne receiver. So usually when we are considering about the duplexer, it has to provide a short circuit at the input to the receiver side when the transmitter is transmitting, so that the high signal it is flowing to the antenna and not to the receiver side. And then at the receiver, at the front end, we are having a low noise RF amplifier. Sometimes this part can be avoided. Example, if it is operating in a noisy military environment. So in such applications, we do not require this low noise RF amplifier front end. However, if it is there, it is going to increase the sensitivity of the receiver. And the next will be a mixer and a local oscillator stage. Obviously, the mixer is going to give some intermediate frequencies. So the intermediate frequency in the case of this particular application, it can range from 30 megahertz, 50 megahertz, etc. IF it can produce with a total bandwidth of 1 megahertz. And the detector here, it is going to detect the modulated signal, avoiding the carrier signal, and then it will be amplified up to a level which can be usually displayed on a cathode ray tube, or we can have other types of radar displays also, which we will be learning in the subsequent section. Okay, so this is a block diagram of a conventional pulse radar. Here we are having a transmitter, a duplexer. We are using a single antenna for transmission and reception, and at the receiver we are having a ordinary super heterodyne receiver. And another thing which we have to remember is the IF amplifier, it should be a matched filter. That is, by that we mean the frequency response function, that is H of F, it should be in such a manner that it is going to maximize the signal to noise ratio. So that is why we have written in the bracket as a matched filter. So this explains the block diagram of a pulse radar. So here just a function, the main important function of each stages of the block diagram of pulse radar is explained. You can go through these functions, that is pulse modulator, transmitter, duplexer, low noise RF amplifier, local oscillator, mixer, IF amplifier, detector, video amplifier and display. So the detailed explanation I have given in the block diagram itself. Now we have seen about the pulsed radar. But when we are considering that there is a motion, that is our target is continuously moving, we have to consider an effect called as Doppler effect. That is our received echo signal, it will be having a shift in the frequency from the frequency which was originally transmitted. So this change in frequency, it is called as the Doppler effect and it is a basis of CW radar. So now we have to first see what you mean by the Doppler effect and afterwards we can see the block diagram of CW radar. So when we are considering about the Doppler shift in frequency, we can consider the distance from the radar to the target as R. So we are having here a two-way propagation, that is from the transmitter radar to the target, then the echo signal back to the receiver side. So the total distance we can consider as 2R. So the total number of wavelength lambda contained in the two-way path between the radar and the target, it can be expressed as 2R by lambda. So one wavelength corresponds to an angular exertion of say 2 pi radians. So what will be the corresponding phase shift during its transit to and fro from the target? So the phase shift phi, it will be represented as 2 pi into 2r divided by lambda. So total phase shift is 4 pi r by lambda. If the target is in motion, r and the phase phi, they are continuously going to change. So we have written the expression for phi as 4 pi r by lambda. Now when you are differentiating it with respect to time, that is d phi by dt, it is going to give the omega or the angular frequency. Okay, so omega d, which is can also be expressed as 2 pi fd, that is in terms of frequency f, it can be what, d phi by dt. Okay, so that is we have got here what, 4 pi r by lambda. So 4 pi by lambda into dr by dt. So when we are differentiating this dr by dt, it becomes the velocity of Vr. So that is 4 pi Vr divided by lambda, where Fd we can denote it as a Doppler frequency shift and Vr is a relative, or it can be the radial velocity of the target with respect to radar. Okay, so in the figure you are having a moving target and this is a radar range capital R, and here we have also shown what is R, that is a radial velocity of the target with respect to the radar. Okay, so how can you write the Doppler frequency shift or FD from this particular equation? That is, we have got 2 pi FD is equal to 4 pi VR by lambda. So FD we can write it as 2 into VR divided by lambda. Or we can also write it as lambda replaced as C by F. So 2 VR F naught by C, where F naught is a transmitted frequency and C is a velocity of light. Now if Fd is in hertz, Vr in knots and lambda in meter, we are having a general expression for Fd is equal to 1.03 Vr by lambda. So it is important to remember this particular equation, that is connecting the Fd, Doppler frequency and the transmitted frequency. Now when we are considering say this particular figure, we can say that the radial velocity Vr, it is expressed as V cos theta. Okay, so theta can be the angular shift. So we can write it here as Vr is equal to V cos theta and Fd. Fd can be written as how, 2V cos theta divided by lambda, since we are replacing Vr with V cos theta. Okay, so when theta is equal to 0, we get a maximum Doppler shift, and when angle theta is equal to 90 degree in this equation, we get what, the Doppler shift to be equal to 0. Okay, since cos 0 we are having a value of 1, we get a maximum Doppler frequency shift. Now we have considered about the concept of a Doppler effect, which forms a basis of our CW radar, that is a continuous wave radar. So this is a block diagram of a simple CW radar and its frequency response characteristics. Now suppose we are having a transmitter, say it is transmitting with a continuous wave of frequency say F0, And we know that when the signal it is going to hit the target and it is coming back to the receiver side, there will be a shift in the frequency which is called as our Doppler frequency. So now the frequency will be changing. Okay, it will be f naught plus or minus ft. Now this sign will depend upon the relative position. That is, if the relative position of the target and radar it is going to increase, then the sign will be negative. So this will be entering here at the input f naught plus or minus ft. Now when it goes to the detector or mixer side, it will generate a FD value of frequency. That is a Doppler node frequency value of FD, which will be further amplified by this beat frequency amplifier. Now the function of this amplifier is to eliminate the noises from the stationary objects and only amplify the necessary frequency value of FD to be indicated by the indicator. And this is a corresponding frequency response, and here the lower cutoff frequency and the upper cutoff frequency should be having certain constraints. So here is a explanation of the CW radar. There is a transmitter will be generating a continuous or unmodulated oscillations of frequency f0 which is radiated by the antenna. A portion of the radiated energy is intercepted by the target and is scattered, some of it in the direction of radar where it is collected by the receiving antenna. So only some portion will be re-radiated back to the side of receiving antenna. And if the target is in motion, say with the velocity of Vr related to the radar, the received signal will be shifted in frequency from the transmitted frequency f0 by an amount of plus or minus ft. We have already seen this concept. So Fd can be represented as 2Vr divided by lambda, and the plus sign which is associated with the Doppler frequency, it will apply if the distance between the target and the radar is decreasing, that is, it is a closing target where the received signal frequency is greater than the transmitted signal frequency. Minus sign is going to apply if the distance it is going to increase more and more. Okay, it is a receding target. Now the received echo signal, that is our f0 plus or minus fd, which enters the radar via the antenna, it will be heterodyned in the detector, that is with the mixer, with the portion of the transmitter signal f0 to produce a Doppler beat note of frequency fd. Now the thing to remember is that while it produces, the mixer produces an output of intermediate frequency value, that is a beat note of frequency fd, there the sign is being disappeared. The sign of fd is lost in this particular process. Now the purpose of the Doppler amplifier, it is to eliminate the echoes from the stationary target, that is it does not take into account, or it is to eliminate all the unwanted noises, and it will amplify only the necessary Doppler signal to a level where it can be operate an indicating device. That is, it should be properly indicated by an indicating device. And in the frequency response curve, the low frequency cutoff, it must be very high enough to reject the DC component caused by stationary target, but yet it must be low enough to pass the smallest Doppler frequency expected. So that is the constraint on the low frequency cutoff. That is, it should reject the noise which is being caused by other stationary target, but it must be low enough in order to pass the smallest frequency which is expected of the Doppler. And the upper one, it must be selected such that it is passing the highest possible Doppler frequency which can be expected from the target. So that is a constraint of the low frequency and the upper frequency cutoff. Now about the meters or the indicators which is being used in the ordinary CW radar. It can be either earphone or a frequency meter. So we can either use the ordinary frequency meter which counts the cycle, or we can use earphones. That is, if the exact knowledge of the Doppler frequency is not necessary, we can go for earphones. Our ear acts as a selective bandpass filter with the passband of the order 50 Hz, which can be centered above the signal frequency. So the narrow bandpass characteristic of the ear result in an effective increase in SNR ratio of the echo signal. So if audio detection was desired for the combination of target velocity and transmitter frequency, but it is not resulting in an audible frequency, then we could properly heterodyne it to the audible range. So now we have seen a simple block diagram of a CW radar where we are not employing a IF amplifier. If required, we can heterodyne it or use a possible suitable IF amplifier, etc. And also we can either use the conventional frequency meter also. So two indicators are commonly used, that is either earphones or frequency meter. Now speaking about the isolation between the transmitter and receiver, we have seen that we are using a single antenna for both the transmission as well as the reception. However, in practice or practically, we cannot completely isolate the transmitter and receiver from each other. Obviously, there will be some leakage from the transmitter power into the receiver. But actually, some leakage is necessary from the transmitter side to receiver side, because we have to detect the Doppler frequency shift. Now, this is going to act actually like a reference signal so that we can accurately measure what is our shift in Doppler frequency. If there is no leakage which is going to enter the receiver from the transmitter side, then we have to deliberately introduce some portion of a transmitted signal to provide the necessary reference frequency. So actually we require some leakage from the transmitter to the receiver. Now there are two practical conditions or the practical effect we have to consider. Okay, so how much power it can be tolerated at the receiver side. There is a maximum amount of power receiver input circuitry can withstand before it is being physically damaged or it can cause a burnout. And the next one is some noise, that is a transmitter noise due to other types of stray effects or microphonics instabilities, etc. Okay, so additional noise, we require only the necessary required sample from a transmitter, but if more and more noise get introduced from the transmitter, it is going to reduce our receiver sensitivity. Okay, so except where the CW operate with a relatively low power transmitter and insensitive receiver, we require additional isolation. So usually in most of the cases in microwave communication, we are going to provide this additional isolation. So it can be in the form of using circulators, magic tees, etc. So the isolation can be obtained with a single antenna with the help of a hybrid T-junction circulator or by using separate polarization for both the transmission and reception, etc. Also separate antennas, that is another case, but here what we are speaking is why we are using a single antenna. Okay, so we have already seen about these type of components, magic T, rat race, circulator. So all those we have seen the application. It can be used for duplexing or another component, short slot coupler. So all of them, they have got limitation in providing how much isolation can be achieved. Okay, so with extreme precision is exercised, a maximum isolation of perhaps say you can say 60 dB or might it can be achieved. So maximum of 60 dB value can be approximately achieved in case of isolation between the transmitter and the receiver. Now speaking of the receiver part, it cannot be an exact super heterodyne receiver because as you can see the local oscillator or the IF amplifier etc. is missing. So such type of receiver, they can be called as a homodyne receiver or even a super heterodyne receiver with zero intermediate frequency, and the function of the local oscillator here is replaced with the leakage signal from the transmitter to the receiver. But this receiver, it will not be sensitive because there will be a flicker noise or flicker effect produced at such a lower intermediate frequency. That is, when you're considering short noise, thermal noise, etc., they are all independent of frequency. But when we are considering the flicker effect, they will be dependent upon these frequencies and they can occur in the semiconductor devices such as diode detector, cathode or vacuum tubes, etc. So it's very lower intermediate frequency because here we are not having a local oscillator to produce a very high frequency or IF amplifier, etc. So this particular type of receiver, it will be very much prone to noise. Okay, so at lower range of frequency where the Doppler frequencies usually are found, the detector can introduce a considerable amount of flicker noise. So it will finally result in reduced receiver sensitivity. Okay, for a short range low power application, this decrease in sensitivity it might be tolerated since it can be compensated by some increase in say additional transmitter power or antenna aperture, etc. So if the application is for low power, we can incorporate this type of simple receiver. No need of taking the super heterodyne receiver with local oscillator IF amplifier, etc. But if we are going for very high range or high power application, it is mandatory that we require a super heterodyne receiver with a non-zero IF. So this is a CW radar with a non-zero IF. We are having IF amplifier here, unlike the other case, and we have a sideband filter. So here in the mixer, we take some portion of the transmitter signal and mix it along with the high frequency oscillator signal. And as you can see that here two sidebands are formed along with the carrier, and with the higher harmonics, we are having two sidebands. Okay, so in the sideband filter, it will choose only one of the sideband along with the consideration. That is whether the target is moving far away or the target it is coming closer to the receiver of the radar. So depending upon the sideband filter will choose the value for the intermediate frequency which is required, and it will be further amplified by the IF, and then all the other steps remaining are similar to that of the CW radar with zero IF. That is, it will be detected, and the Doppler amplifier, it will be amplified to the level where it can be indicated by a indicating device. So the main points are written here. That is, here separate antennas can be used for transmission and the reception to reduce the transmitter leakage. And here a local oscillator, some portion it is derived from the transmitter signal and it is mixed with a locally generated signal of frequency here, which will be equal to that of the receiver intermediate frequency. So depending upon the receiver intermediate frequency only, we are going to design the local oscillator, and there is a reduction in the noise, which means that there will be increased sensitivity for the receiver. That is, flicker noise, it is usually inversely proportional to that of the frequency. Okay, so if you are going to shift the Doppler frequency, the flicker noise is going to reduce. Okay, so in the flicker noise reduces the sensitivity of a CW radar with a zero intermediate frequency. That is our simpler Doppler radar. So in order to increase the efficiency only, we choose this particular CW radar which is having non-zero IF. Doppler frequency, usually you have to remember that it is falling in your audio frequency range. That is why I told you in the indicating device we can either use a frequency meter or a earphone. Okay, so such type of Doppler frequency, remember that it is always subjected to flicker noise, not to thermal noise, short noise, etc. So reducing the flicker noise is important. So this flicker noise will be reduced if you are choosing a proper super heterodyne receiver with a non-zero IF, so that our receiver sensitivity will be increasing. So in this particular section, we have discussed mainly about the pulsed radar and the CW radar. Okay, and the CW radar with a zero and a non-zero IF. And we have also discussed about the concept of what is a Doppler frequency, which is forming the basis of a CW radar. And we have also seen in the beginning about the radar frequency range.